All right, Northeast PA's classic Rock 107. A special guest today, and it looks like he's in an arm sling, is Riki Rachtman. How are you, buddy?
Yes. Well, I broke my elbow skateboarding. I don't want to hear anybody say, "Aren't you old?" Yes, I am old. And I learned that when you're skating pools and you're 60 years old, when you fall, it's like stepping on Pringles. So I broke my elbow.
Yeah, I had a pretty nasty fall in the fall. I'm still limping around. I'm glad you could join us today, and you got something unique going on that we're going to be chatting about today. But first off, I've seen all the tour posters and stuff, and you got a mohawk rocking, and I'm like, I can't wait to see this mohawk today, and you're rocking the hat.
Well, the reason I am rocking the hat is because my hair grows really, really quickly, and I'm going to back to get my mohawk this afternoon. So that's why I'm wearing the hat. But I mean, I had a mohawk a long time ago, and people have always given, when I cut my hair on Headbangers Ball in 1992, I got such a hard time for it. So I figured, man, I'm just going to go for a full-blown mohawk. And I did it when I was doing something at Fashion Week in New York. And I decided that I liked it. And I really didn't care if people liked it or not. This was about over 2 years ago. And I keep on saying, I can grow my hair long anytime. I'm lucky that my hair grows like weeds, but I like the mohawk. So I'm just going to keep it. And I think after this tour, I'll probably maybe let it grow back to long again. But in the meantime, the mohawk is actually the easiest thing to do because I just stick it up and it's fun. I mean, the reason I've done anything and goofed around with my hair is, to me, it's just fun.
Yeah, you made cutting your hair uncool before Metallica did.
Yes, okay, I haven't heard it put that way, but you're right. I was uncool before Metallica. I was uncool before Chris Cornell. However, what people forget is Charlie Benante from Anthrax. When I went to cut my hair in 92, when it was like down to my waist, I actually told the barber, I want my hair like Charlie Benante from Anthrax. Everybody said, like, "Oh my God, you cut your hair short. It looks like, Charlie from Anthrax." I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I liked his short hair. So it's funny that back then, like if you hosted a heavy metal show, you better have long hair. And because everybody felt that way, that was like, you know what, I'm going to cut my hair. And some people got really pissed off. And now it seems kind of trivial when you look at who the heavy metal hosts are now and what they look like. It's like now it doesn't really matter. Back then it really did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at least Scott Ian was a little bit before you from Anthrax. He did the complete head shave around the Attack of the Killer Bees album.
I don't believe that was by choice.
Yeah.
I don't think Scott Ian, I mean, I love Scott, but Scott's hair was getting very, very thin. But you're right. There are people, I mean, Rob Halford, there's people that have always had short hair, that why it should have been. But back then I was a little aggravated by people taking, so much pleasure and giving me a hard time with my hair. But now that I look back at it, I understand, because I was the first person that was on a major television show, waving the heavy metal flag, and I represented heavy metal. And then some people thought, oh, what a sellout move to cut your hair short like everybody else. When the truth of the matter was, the people at MTV told me, do not cut your hair. And I was like, okay. And that was a good reason to do it. I know that's stupid, but when you're young, you want to rebel. Just give me something to rebel against. I'll do it.
Of course, you're best known as the legendary host of Headbangers Ball, which was something I watched every Saturday night. I spent most of my youth grounded, so instead of being out with my friends,
as did most people,
I was in front of the television set every Saturday night watching Headbangers Ball, and it turned me on to so much new music in that era, because radio stations, MTV and regular rotation weren't touching bands like Pantera and stuff like that.
Pantera is the band usually that when they say like, "Oh, Ricky, you turned me on to Pantera." Pantera is the one that gets mentioned the most, because if you were a fan of Slayer, which had the most vocal fans, they were kind of finding out about that band underground. But Pantera was the band that a lot of people like, who is this Pantera? And we were really early on with them, not as early as they're like, glam sort of days, but as soon as the Cowboys from Hell and all that stuff started coming out, and a little bit before that, we were playing Pantera, and people were watching this band. They're like, who is this band? And their guitarist seemed like he was just like one of us and a little crazy, and people really latched on to Pantera. And you know, when people come to me and they say, you turned me on to Pantera, it's like, that's really, really flattering. You know, all the things that people say about Headbangers Ball, whether it's you saying that, you know, you would get in trouble and you'd stay home and watch it on TV, you know, for a while, I was like, I'm trying to make a name for myself in 2000 and being other than the guy from Headbangers Ball. And now that I've got all these other jobs and I'm doing quite well, I'm very privileged and very lucky to know that people liked what I did or didn't like what I did and were very vocal about it. To know that Headbangers Ball was part of their life is really, really flattering. And I feel like I have a responsibility that when somebody says like, dude, remember Allison Chains in the Water Park? Even though I hear that almost every single day, I cannot say, yeah, I know I always talk to that. That person might be their first time to ask me about it. So I have to talk to it. And the truth is, anybody that's ever met me anywhere knows that I love talking about it. It's like, I'm warning you, don't stop me on the street and start talking to me, because you'll be like, okay, dude, I just wanted to say something for a minute and we're still here for 5 minutes. You know, that's why I've really loved going out on tour, doing these shows, because I get to go meet people. You know, I get to go to Bethlehem and I don't know if I've ever been there before, and talk to people and to go out there and tell some of these stories on stage. It is without a doubt the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. And yes, Headbangers Ball was the greatest job anybody could ever have, but getting out and you know, going to the furnace room or doing whatever all over America and Australia now is incredible. It's the greatest thing I've ever done, and to do it at this stage of my career is I'm so lucky.
So you're coming to Bethlehem on Sunday, April 2nd, and tickets are available at SteelStacks.org. The spoken word story tour, it's kind of like a new concept that kind of launched a couple years ago. I remember seeing Mike Tyson do it probably about 7 or 8 years ago. How did it come about for you? Like, did somebody approach you, or was this something like, you know, like, I need to do this to clear my conscience, to get these stories out? I can't write a book because I have a broken arm, so I got to do this in person.
I've only had a broken arm for 2 weeks. The truth is, you know, a lot of people don't know about my career. Some people might know about me only from Headbangers Ball. A lot of people know me because I created the Cat House, which has the most notorious rock and roll stories ever. But all these books started coming out, like Nothing But a Good Time, and all these books that are great books, but I'm reading books with stories about things that I was involved in. And I'm like, that's not how it happened. Even watching The Dirt, I'm like, okay, that's not really what happened. And so I've been offered to write a book. I even had a deal to do a development deal for a television show about it. And then I was like, you know what? And I looked at people like Henry Rollins, and Henry Rollins does these spoken word shows. And everybody was like, you know, why don't you write a book? And I was like, I've always, you know, you have to understand, growing up, my friends were all starting bands like Guns N' Roses, Faster Pussycat, you know, and hearing all my friends and the guys in Motley saying like, yeah, we're going on tour, and just being jealous. I always wanted to do that stuff. So I was like, what if I went and got to go on tour and get on stage and tell people stories, but do more than that? It's like spoken word sounds very poetry like, and this is not like that. There's videos, there's little pyro. There's like, you know, there's a part that's almost like a play where I take you into my room when I was a little kid, discovering Alice Cooper and Deep Purple and Motley Crue. And I not only talk about Headbangers Ball, but I talk about, you know, getting arrested for and going to jail. And, you know, when I was younger, having to make ends meet by dealing drugs. I mean, there's a lot of stuff of the story that people don't really know. And a lot of tell-all stories, you know, a lot of people know that the way I got my job on Headbangers Ball was Axl Rose set up my audition and went with me. Well, I go into that detail. The stories about Allison Chains in the Water Park that don't know, and things that don't have to do with Headbangers Ball, you know, and things like Nirvana on Headbangers Ball, and what's it like when you have it all and then lose it all. I mean, I had some really bad years. So it's funny, it's serious, it takes you on a journey, and it's much more than me just standing there on a microphone. I did one show in Charlotte, North Carolina. It sold out. And then I got 5 shows, and it was so, I can't tell you how much fun I had. And then all of a sudden it's like, do you want to do 19 more shows and 4 in Australia? I'm like, this is a dream come true. Like, even talking to you, and
Mhm.
getting to pretend like I'm in a band on tour, and I am on tour. I mean, I had to sell my, I wanted to go out on a tour bus. I thought that would be cool, but I can't afford it. So I had to sell my car and buy a minivan so I could go out in a minivan and have my wife be my tour manager, and, have our friends do the t-shirts and do all that stuff. And we're doing it very grassroots. But I mean, of anything I've ever done in my career, this is definitely the most personal, but it's without a doubt the thing that's got the best reviews. And to know that people that might not even been Riki Rachtman fans are going to these shows and having a really, really good time is so flattering. And to see that shows are selling out, and like we're even at the Furnace Room, we're doing it where we do these VFI passes, which we sell at cathousehollywood.com. I only have like 8 of them. And people go there, they get in the front row, and they hang out with me for a little bit before the show, and we just sit down and talk and do all this stuff. I do that where I get to actually have conversations. It's not a meet and greet where people just take a picture and leave. We just hang out, we take pictures, we talk about whatever you want to talk about. Like, I get to do that in every market as well. And the show is not like Riki, a rock star on stage. It's like, look, we're all hanging out at a bar, and I'm just telling you guys some crazy stories, but I've also got video and photos of it.
Now, do
So
you do any Q&A throughout the evening? You take
usually all the like during the meet and greets, the VFI passes, we talk about whatever you want to talk about. So we do. But the first show I was going to do a meet and greet, the first show was 3.5 hours long. And I was like, okay, I got to cut like well over an hour out of it. So I try to answer any question that somebody would ask. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It depends how the flow of the show is going. But I mean, I pretty much answer everything that people would want to know. I would hope. Sorry.
Was that the dog?
That was a parrot, actually.
A
I live in
parrot opened the door?
No. The dog opened the door. The parrot was chirping downstairs. We live in a zoo here. Like the bird flies around upstairs, downstairs. Cats run around, dogs run around. I'm running around. So it's crazy.
Now, getting prepared for the first time you did this, did you have to dig deep and really think about, should I tell this story? Or is this a little bit too personal? And then said, I have to tell the story because it's such an important part of my journey.
Absolutely. That was a really big deal. There's one story I tell in the show that I've never posted photos of, I've never posted videos of, and I've never mentioned it in social media. And it's extremely humiliating. And I didn't want to tell it, but I tell it in the show, and most people didn't even know about it. And that was something that I talked to my wife about. I'm like, should I bring this up? Because I really look like an idiot. She's like, you have to. I also talk about, there's news footage when in Los Angeles, the top story was me getting arrested and losing everything and becoming completely broke. And I was like, do I want to tell this story? And it's like, well, the truth is I overcame it. I went from flat broke to I'm doing pretty good. I have a t-shirt company, a coffee company. I get to do this tour. So I think that I don't want to say my show's inspirational, even though other people have said they've gotten inspiration from the show, because I don't want people to think it's like that. But it does show you that at any given time in your career, you can reinvent yourself. And at any given time in your career, you can have a great childhood. So there were parts that I really had to say. I mean, I've been arrested a couple times. I had my problems with alcohol and drugs. And I do sprinkle those stories in there, and it actually feels good. Like there's parts in the show that I'm not, that people tell me are hilarious, that it's really, really, that people are laughing out loud. But there's a couple moments in the show where I'm telling these pretty personal stories, and it's like dead silent. And I stopped for a second. I was like, wow, they're listening. They're engaged in this. And that was really, really cool. So it definitely is a roller coaster, but I would say for the most part, it's just pure fun. It's fun because it brings people back to their youth. And in Columbus, Ohio, there was a 21-year-old girl that showed up, and she had my signature tattooed on her. I mean, I've seen cat house tattoos. There's a girl that has, and it's on my Facebook page. There's a girl that has one foot in the gutter, one fist in the goal tattooed on her arm. I mean, and these are young people. So it's nostalgic, but if you're 21 and you're at the show, you're not going to feel like, I don't know what these old people are talking about, but it's a little bit of everything, and I wouldn't sell my show and talk about it in such high regards. If it also didn't get really good reviews. I mean, more than anything I've ever done, to know that people are enjoying the show is really, really good. And it's only one time, I'm April 2nd, I'm in Bethlehem, and it's not like, well, I'm not going to go see the show. I'll come back when it's around. It's not coming around next time. This is the only time I'm doing One Foot in the Gutter,
Well, you talk about it not getting the best reviews, and you grew up and were so involved in the metal hard rock genre. Since when have the critics ever gotten it right?
Well, no, this did not. Oh, if that's what I said, no, I'm wrong. This show did get good reviews.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. Oh,
no.
no. This show got like every single review I've ever gotten.
So they got it right for once.
Okay, yeah. No, yeah. This is the first time that ever critics have been very, very nice to me. I mean, there's a lot of people out there to this day that believe that I picked the videos on Headbangers Ball. So they get mad at me for, why would you play Winger when you should be playing Slaughter? I mean, when you should be playing Slayer. And then there's people that are saying, why are you playing Napalm Death when you should be playing, like, nobody was happy and they all blame me. So I'm used to the hate for that. And that's okay, because I'm goofy. I'm not big, serious rock, and I'm not a journalist or a reporter. I'm just a rock fan. So when I did One Foot in the Gutter, I expected to get some negative, but everything was like, one person said he went there expecting nothing, and it ended up being the best show of the year. Of course, he said that in January, so the year just started. But it is really cool, because this is the most personal thing. I mean, there's shows that I've done that I've gotten bad reviews on that I was just a host. If you don't like this show, I have nobody to blame but myself. But you're going to like it. Everybody that's been to the show likes it. And I don't mean to sound so cocky, but I know this is a good show. And I work my ass off every single day trying to get people to be into the show, to make it a really good show.
So you've been involved in music a long time. Do you still talk to all your old buddies? You still have contacts with them for the most part? Or
Slash and I text each other. This week was probably 4 or 5 times. I talked to Slash occasionally when he came out to Charlotte. I live in North Carolina. He came out to visit me. I talked to Tammy from Faster Pussycat. I mean, honestly, it's rare if 1 week goes by that we don't talk. Mm-hmm. I mean, I talk to Tammy from Faster Pussycat all the time. He's still my best friend. I'm really good friends with Mark Morton from Lamb of God. And we don't talk about music. We talk about real stuff. Occasionally I talk to Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies. I have friends that are in bands that are just friends. They just happen. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not that guy. And here's my friend, I'm John 5. John 5 I've known since he was 15 years old. So, he sends me, oh my God, dude, this, and believe me, I have some stories about him. And, they've all been very, very supportive. And I know that they're going to start posting stuff about my show too, because they weren't my friends when I was on MTV. These are people that I've known way before that. These are people I've known before record deals. So, if I'm talking to somebody in Guns N' Roses, this is somebody that I've known since, 1986.
That's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to you coming right down the road. It's happening at the Fowler Blast Furnace Room on April 2nd. Again, tickets are available. And where can you get those meet and greet tickets? You said that.
It also, if you go to my website, it also has a link to get the tickets if you forget. Mm-hmm. And it's just cathousehollywood.com. And cathousehollywood.com, has Cat House shirt, has Headbangers Ball shirts. But if you click on where it says OFITG, just go to cathousehollywood.com. You can get your tickets for the show, and you can get the meet and greet things. And for the Bethlehem, PA show, I think there's only like 8 of them, because I don't want a lot of them, because I just like to hang out. But those just went up, and you can get those too at cathousehollywood.com. And everybody show up April 2nd, because I'm really, really, and I really appreciate you letting me talk about this show, because I'm really excited. And it's a day after April Fool's Day. Thank God it's not on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, you'll be traveling that day. I was actually going to try to impress you today with a Headbangers Ball shirt. And I have the big containers in my closet upstairs, and I'm going through it. I'm like, wow, I forgot about this concert t-shirt. I forgot about this concert t-shirt. Do you think I could have found that shirt? Not at all. But, I'll probably run across it tomorrow.
I have so many shirts. And it's like I don't even know how many shirts I have. and there's like 4 bands, and I'm always wearing like the same. When I'm wearing band shirts, I mean, like I don't even know how many Motorhead shirts I have, but it's a lot. And I'm always wearing like the same shirt, but I have like one day I might put some of them on for sale on eBay or something like that, because I have so many shirts, and it just, because you want to. And the thing that I think people should know is that buy shirts when you go see bands play, because sometimes that's the only way bands make money is if you buy shirts, especially like the medium-sized bands.
Yeah, absolutely. Riki, we're really looking forward to having you down the road, and I appreciate you taking time today. And you're in LA, right?
No, I moved 5 years ago to North Carolina.
Very nice.
So
Very
right
nice.
now I get to look out, and there's a lake there, and there were deer in my yard, and I get to ride my motorcycle anywhere I want. And
Skateboard.
well, yeah, I don't think I'm going to skateboard until after the tour is done, because if I fell like doing nothing and broke my elbow, if I try something worse, I don't want to get hurt. I want to go out there healthy and play and have fun and goof around. So where should I eat in Bethlehem? What's your trademark food?
It's a little bit down the road from us. It's like an hour drive from Scranton here. So I am not an expert on food in Bethlehem, but
And what about Scranton?
Scranton, we got a whole bunch of places up here. We a lot of pizza places and a lot of family owned and operated Italian restaurants that have been around for decades and decades and decades.
Well, people go on my social media and tell me where to eat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to eat.
It doesn't look it. It looks like you're losing weight.
No, that's why I'm filming it from right here, because downstairs it's all gone to hell.
Riki, thank you so much for your time today, buddy.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.